Hey, girl. Hey, happy Maven. It's not it. Good Maven morning. Um, I am Olivia Denson Thomas. I'm the brand counselor helping you go from hustling to wholeness with brand strategy. And I just had a really weird false start. I hit the go live button and it looked like it went live. And then I looked over again and it said go live. And I'm just like, oh no. So I've been talking to myself very convincingly for the last 3 minutes. So let me try to regroup and get back to what I was saying that none of you heard. So I think it's really important to play to win, right? Like play with the vigor of a person who is going to actually like get to the thing that they want to create on the other side. And I say it a lot, I am learning to do it myself. Other people are doing it too. But I realize that even in understanding how to play to win, there's still a fear of winning. In the last week, I've had a conversation with three very different women, um, all client and incoming client, who are excellent in their fields, right? They're excellent in the fields that they came from, the jobs that they had, and in their own personal work, like they are doing the things, right? They exist in three disparate industries. They've never met each other a day in their lives, and they're already bringing in significant money from each engagement that they have. So people see the value in what they do, right? And it's not even a question of whether or not they should be paid or whatever. Um, but as we solidified the brand message and just the brand philosophy, like the whole energy of everything that they're building, right? And clarifying like the empire mapping, they are now saying, and they've all said, like, excuse me, something to the effect of what happens when I win. And I don't know who I am on the other side and who do I become when I win, right? Like I'm afraid of winning. And it's been interesting to hear that in such quick succession from three different people. And it's not that I've never heard it before. I think hearing it three times in a row kind of made it stand out to me just a little bit more. Again, these women are doing great work. They are established. They are known by the people they're known by, and they're trusted by the people they're known by. Um, but it happens. Like if you are a high achieving woman, if you are in a high trust industry, but you still haven't really worked out like how to trust yourself, like it's not actually an uncommon thing. So I really wanted to talk about that today. Let me pull up my notes so that we can have a good, clear conversation and get to the point. So it's not just playing to win, it's also preparing mentally to win. You can definitely practice and say, like, hey, we're going to get there, and really play the game. But you have to put yourself in the position to remember that winning is actually for you. It's not just for you in tandem to something else. You are great at winning in tandem to something else for the university, right? For the city or the state that you work for the nonprofit organizations that you're doing things for, right? Like when it is with other people, winning seems like a foregone conclusion because you're going to do whatever you have to do to actually make things happen, which is awesome. But then when you're doing your own thing, it's almost like winning feels confusing, right? Because now it's just you standing by yourself as the owner, the proprietor of like this victory. And then there are a lot of things that can make it seem like, did she win because she actually wins? Or did she win because of some other like external circumstance? Um, so my first point, let's uh let's stay on track, is you are afraid of untested power. For so many people, um, I'm not a, let me take it back a second. I'm not a believer in like empowerment. I actually am like I'm not really like a women's empowerment event or like a thing every now and then. Like I don't mind. Like I think it's so well intended, and I think they are beautiful. And I love the camaraderie of it, right? Where people can actually come together and figure things out together and take action together. As long as there is like taking action afterwards, I think that's great. Like I'm not really here for the ones where we just kind of rah rah and then like leave and fizzle out. There has to be something that encourages like movement and not just excitement. So back to the real point. I I think there's a power that we all individually already own, but we're not necessarily sure how to use it and we're not introduced to it. So for myself, I'm moving through what it means to individuate, what it means to self-express with big emotions, and also what it means to risk and rebel, right? Because there was a point in my childhood, my teen years, where I really hadn't had the chance to live that life and develop in that stage where I get to understand like my own power through my emotions, my ability to stand away from what's established, and my ability to actually like talk about and express these things. Like there is something that we're all here for. Your calling has power and your feelings, your emotions have power too. But if you never learn how to access and utilize the power that's already like naturally yours, you will think that you have to wait for empowerment, right? Like for someone to imbue you with power. Now, I will never be a person who's like, oh, if someone's in a domestic violence situation, like they obviously need to immediately find the power within and make a change. No, like I do understand there are certain instances where the trauma overtakes the power. And I think really that is what I am talking about. Like for so many people, the trauma in a lesser sense has overtaken the power that they naturally have. And whether it's on purpose, by people who want to make sure that they have access to your power whenever they want to have access to your power, right? That happens. Or if it's just completely by accident. Sometimes the people who raised you, the people who are around you, they also have no idea what they're doing. And they, looking for significance and power of their own, might siphon yours, right? It happens. So instead of using their own power, or maybe their power was siphoned, which is probably what happened, and now they think that's the way that life goes. Someone has to siphon power from somebody else in order to be powerful, as opposed to the idea that no, you are innately powerful and you can just operate within your own power, which is kind of why empowerment events make like in that way, where it's like the siphoning, you would have to have empowerment events as the solution. That actually makes a lot of sense. But again, you can't really imbue somebody with power. Like you were born, you were created with, like you were created with power. Like it is good, right? And you were created with something to use and utilize and to cultivate. It doesn't like start perfect from the beginning, and there is no perfection. It's always kind of like growing and learning how to exist within the thing that you're doing. But it starts good. There is power there. There is something there that needs to be shaped and cultivated and given some space to breathe and grow. So, if you've never actually been acquainted with the power um, that you hold, it can feel untested. It can feel unhinged. You might feel like you're going to lose control, right? You might feel like you're going to hurt someone, or you might even feel like you're going to prove other people right with that they have, right? People tend to come in, especially if they love you. People tend to come in with a lot of doubts because they want you to be safe. They think that if you stay small, if you stay contained in the places that are already established, then that's the safest place to be naturally. But that's not true. That is a place that is, if it's established and if it's in the place of maturity, right? And it's not doing any like renewal work or work to make sure that it is like strong and growing and change, like it is going to crumble, right? So anything that is already established, like yes, you can learn a lot from it, but staying there and being there without any like additional learning and growing, that's how things break. So when people encourage you toward those actions, that's how you break. And then you're afraid to take action that looks like the innovation that's naturally coming from you because it's like, well, what if they're right? What if their doubts are actually completely justified and I can't do this thing because there is really no thing to do? And frankly, yeah, what if, right? Like that might be a thing and you can actually test it. And your power might not even come through the first time because you don't have any reps. Like you don't actually know how to utilize what it is that you're doing. You don't have any like practiced skills for putting you into motion. So honestly, the first time that you do something, heck, the second to 10th time that you do something in some place that's established, it might not actually look like what is going to come about because you did the work to even like try something. If you think about the majority of like inventions and innovations in technology that we currently use, so much of it is based on the posthumous research. People are gone. And then their research comes back around and it's like, oh man, they were right. If we do this, this, and this, it's going to be great. Um, so like sometimes it's not about what you are putting down or putting together for now. It's about if you are willing to actually continue practicing power to make sure that something comes about from what it is that you're doing, right? Obviously, make sure you are fed, make sure you are clothed, make sure that there is something profitable that is happening with you. But don't give up don't give up on the power that you actually naturally hold and then give somebody else deference because they have an established power that's visible and think that because theirs is visible that they are, more important than you or better off than you or, any of those things. Of course you can learn from them, right? Like we're not gonna be so prideful to think that there's nothing else for us to learn. In fact, real humility is learning and using what you learn, right? So we do want to operate in the humility of knowing that we can be better and then going to be better out loud, right? I think that's real humility. Um, but don't forget that just because something is not the norm right now, and just because your power seems untested right now, it doesn't mean that what you are doing is something that people don't need. It absolutely is something that people do need. They might need it, right? But they're not going to get it if you don't actually take the steps to bring it to fruition. Like get acquainted with the fact that you you have power and you are meant to win one way or another. Like, prepare for the fact that, yeah, there might be some space between you and the ground when you start winning, but you can also set up cushions. You can also make sure there are things to catch you when you fall, right? And you can also learn from the fall. There is no loss, there is learning, right? And you can take it as that. You can take every loss as a challenge instead of an indictment. You have to change from that. A loss is not an indictment. It doesn't actually speak anything personally about you. It's just that you now have a new chance to learn something and retest in a way where you have like more information to go forth and be great. Um, the next point is the critics are outside of the right. So one of my favorite books um, is Daring Greatly by Brene Brown. And, you know, you have to look at who's outside of the ring judging you and say, well, you are not in here with me. So honestly, I can't even really take your opinion, right? Like the people who are with you, who are in your corner, like if we're talking fighting, like in your corner, like coaching you, rubbing out the knots in your shoulders and making sure you can go back after they've given you the, the smelling salts, all those things, like those are your people. So giving more attention to the people who don't really have permission to give you is going to be a huge waste of time, right? Like you can't think about waiting for somebody to say it's okay, and you can't wait for somebody to say, "Oh, that looks good." Because even sometimes winning doesn't look good. One of the things in the sports world that I'm kind of noticing is that people like winners, but people like showmen, right? And if you get caught up in this idea of showmanship versus like just being a winner, then you're not really thinking about the transformation that you're trying to create. You're just thinking about being someone that people look at in the immediate, but then they look at you and then you let them down. Then what? That's crazy. So you really have to continue to believe even if and when other people don't believe. I know you've been there where you see that person and you're just like, oh man, everybody loves them. They're amazing. But then you look deeply into their work and into like everything that they create. But the stuff that they create is like it's subpar, right? But they have the popularity vote that you don't. So you have to be able to not be envious of them. Like let me put a huge like I don't know, big bow around that. Like this is a gift. If you look at somebody and you are envious of them, you are actually telling yourself what you need to focus on. You never have to be envious. What you do have to do is see whatever that sparks in you, question it, and say, well, what do I need to do? Right? Because if it's just like, oh man, they have popularity, but I have brains, if you know, if what you need to progress also includes being known for what you do, then you do have to figure out what the intersection for those things are and not just feel like it is for somebody else. Like other people are popular, not me, not people like me. No, you can't do that. That's not how we scale over here. Um, so you have to get in the ring and you have to fight and you have to give yourself enough energy to do the other parts too and recognize that being seen winning by the appropriate audience is good too. Don't think about the critics. Think about the appropriate audience who needs to see you winning because there is somebody out there who specifically needs to see you winning. And I don't mean that from like an encouragement standpoint. I mean that from a you are the bridge that they need to get to their destination standpoint. I mean that from a profit standpoint. Like I'm not talking motivational where somebody needs to know that you no, that's not what I mean right now. I mean that if you want other people to purchase from you, they do need to see you win. They do need to see you win. And they also need to know, and probably primarily, they need to know how they are going to win because you are winning. And then they want to know how can we win together? And that's how sales are made, right? It's beautiful. Um, but if you're afraid to showcase those wins, you will fizzle out. If you're afraid to say, I am a winner and I am prepared to win over and over again, you will fizzle out. There's a lot of people who start things and they get a lot going in the beginning because they are coming from their job and they already have a network who knows and likes and trusts them and they have referrals and things seem like they are like moving. But you are supposed to wrap those up wrap up your wins and then shout them out to the next set of people that you want to win with so that they understand that winning together is the norm for you. How do we win together if you're not a winner and I don't see that you're a winner, right? It's a weird ask. So there's that. Don't worry about the optics. Don't worry about the optics. The reporters, the onlookers, they're going to question how you won and if it was luck, or the timing, or maybe like somebody else's bad day. That's also a thing too, where sometimes people might even say like, "Oh, you won because somebody else fails." Like, no, I won because I won. And whether or not they believe that, honestly, is none of your business. I think it was Myleik Teal who said, "What somebody thinks of me is none of my business." That changed my life because I've talked about shame like almost ad nauseum at this point, and I'm going to continue talking about shame ad nauseum, because it was a huge experience that stunted me, right? Because I had to think about who was thinking about me. Like I had to, because how was I going to like evade attack if I'm not like getting prepared for war constantly? But there was no war. The only war that actually existed was within me, right? And whether or not someone really thought anything like nefarious toward me, it's it's none of my business. It's not really going to do anything. Like their thoughts aren't going to do anything, right? Their thoughts aren't going to do anything. If they act on something, that's different. I can respond to an act, but a thought that I can't hear, that really I'm just assuming, I can't do anything with that. So instead of thinking about what other people are thinking about, think about winning and how you're going to get there, what you need to do and how to stack the deck in your favor so that you can win and continue to win and invite people into the win. Ma, 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 ma. And lastly, becoming the opportunity. So I think it is, people tend to wait for someone else to tell them what to do and to tell them their value, right? So when you were working in an organization, when you were working with probably your first clients, all of those people know you for something that was prescribed about you, right? There was a prescription, use this for this to get this. So your options and your possibilities are limited by what other people actually believe about you in those instances, right? But you get to describe what winning with you actually looks like, right? And in describing what winning with you looks like, you get to define what the possibilities are, right? The possibilities are endless. Let me name out a few that I can give you, right? So if we're talking about like demand generation, we need to show people what is actually happening around them that is keeping them from the issues that they have and keeping them from crossing the bridge. I think I used the bridge already, but crossing the bridge to get to the destination that they really want to get to. They really want to get to this destination. Um, but how are they supposed to do it if no one has described the pathway forward, especially describing it in a way that is going to resonate with that specific audience member, right? So you get to create the possibilities because you get to describe what it looks like for you to carry someone to build the bridge to a destination. That's how possibilities and opportunities are created. You can't wait for them. If you're waiting for someone to say, like, hey, this is what's going on, um, this is specifically what we need, you will be waiting for them to even figure out that they have a need. Versus if you look around, you can see the needs. Like, if you play into your calling, if you play into the way that your ears pick up information, you'll be able to hear the needs from your perspective. And your perspective of the needs is absolutely what's needed, because that creates a new set of possibilities for people to get from point A to point B. You only really get to you only really get to help people and like convert the possibility into payment when you say that, this is how it happens, right? Um, I am the bridge that's going to get you to that next place. And when you can name it clearly, and when you can name it repeatedly and show the wins that you have had, or show the information that you have that can like transmute the work into that next thing, like that's how you get opportunities. That's how you create opportunities, because somebody's listening for what you have. They just might not even know what they're really listening for. And that's generally the problem. Like sometimes you're communicating something and it seems very profound to you because you've had the personal experience of it, but other people can't really see themselves in it. So they can't see themselves in the solution moving forward either. So you have to tune your language, tune your description to create the possibilities and say, hey, winning with me is possible. And then the space between yourself and the ground becomes a little bit softer. It becomes softer when you can say that you are an opportunity versus waiting for the opportunity. If you are in the sky and you are waiting for fuel, that's crazy. You're waiting for something that might not come, that might get shot out of the air before it gets to you, right? Like you're waiting, you're waiting, you're waiting, you're waiting. You can soften the space, or you can solidify the space by creating your fuel, creating your opportunity, having your pipeline continuously have people in, bring people in, because you're letting them know like, hey, there actually is a reason that I do the things that I do, and it'll take you a little further than, or way further than you've ever been before, frankly, because I'm doing it. You're welcome, right? And it might sound, again, reframing pride and humility here, right? Like it really is a you're welcome, because you are you are utilizing what you have in order to change people from what they currently are into what they want to become, and maybe don't really know how to get there. And it's huge to take the power that you have and turn it into something that's usable for other people so that they can become, right? There's a transformation in there that they are looking for, right? It's not just the transaction, it's not just fleecing people, it's not just selling a tchotchke or a widget that will like work for a little bit and then you like toss it away. It is very much so about making sure that what you're giving to the people is veritably transformative. And it is, because you're cultivating and you're practicing and you're becoming like the version of you that is going to not just like say you can do a thing, but you're going to show up and do the thing, and you're going to pivot when necessary because you are so courageous. You're so courageous. Um, but you're going to do the thing because you are the opportunity, right? You're the bridge. And I'm so excited for you. All right, girl. If you want to work with me to create some opportunities, I'd love to work with you. I will put the details in the comment, or you can visit wintentional, like intentional, but with a W.com, and you can go to the presence suite and